Hey guys, it's Tanya from Royal City Nursery again, and we are still standing out in front of my place. We figured we finished the tour. So the last tour we did took you up through from the driveway to our front entrance. And in this tour, this is going to be a little bit shorter, but this is one that gives a really unique perspective on the house because we're standing actually at the bottom of a hill. So this particular house is built on top of a hill. Now, one of the things that I keep kind of forgetting to mention, and I'm not sure if many of you know, is I graduated from the University of Guelph with a Bachelor of Landscape Architecture. And that was a few moons ago, but what that degree did, certainly it made me qualified as a landscape designer, but it also gave me a very different appreciation for spaces, for shapes, and for how we organize an overall bigger space. So when we look at this property is a little bit big for my taste, and that's okay. But it's my house and it's Dave's house, so we've got to make it ours. Way we make it ours is we're going to chop it into some individual rooms. We've already talked about the 2 or 3 rooms that take us through the entrance, through our porch. But down here, we have a very different room. And one of the spaces we're actually going to start with, that all of you who are on rural properties know all about, these fantastic, beautiful green lids. This is our septic system. We actually have 3 of them here. So there's 2 lids here, and there's another one buried up in the hostas behind all the grasses. So what that means, our septic tanks are physically here. This means we cannot plant anything with any deep roots. We want to make sure that our plant material that's sitting here has very shallow roots, and they also need to be very fibrous. So we need lots and lots of fibrous roots, because fibrous roots go down and then they go out. So they form like a pancake, which also means the plant's going to grow better if they appreciate that. So if you take a look at what we planted on here, we've got some daisies. That's what we're seeing in the front. We've got some meadowsweet, that's that white one that's flowering in the back, some philopendula. Behind that are a whole bunch of grasses. And we've used the grasses because grasses have a horizontal root structure. So for this, it's as much about function as it is aesthetics. The other view, in the other space I'm going to get you to take a peek at, right from where we're standing, is we're standing at the bottom of a hill. So from this hill, I'm looking up towards my front door. But if we think about it, all our pathways are hardscapes, so that our hardscapes are our pathways and our driveways and all the stone that's in there, and our house. If you think about all of those shapes, those are all rectangles. So we see the rectangles in the doors, we see the rectangles in the windows, we even see the rectangles between the pillars on the porch. One of the things we needed to do was to contrast that with some softness. And that's where the BLA part comes in. So the softness for us takes care of a couple things. Part of it is in our plant choices. So we have a whole bunch of grasses, we've got a bunch of junipers, but more importantly, we put our plants together in masses. And because we put them together in masses, it makes it a little bit easier for us humans to actually see them visually connect. So come on up here a little bit. And if we think about our masses, so we've got grasses on both on my right and left, right? Those serve to soften. The curve of the garden serves to soften. The other thing that we've done is incorporate something called repetition. And repetition really means you're just using the same thing over and over and over and over again. In a big space, that's one of the ways you can actually link spaces together. So it makes it feel like it's the same space. That's kind of how we set up, say, your front yard. We want some of the things that are on one side of the driveway to be the same as some of the things on the other side of the driveway. So when you're standing in the street and looking at it going, hey, those 2 spaces belong together. One of the neat tricks we did with repetition here is with this juniper. So this green juniper on this side is a Calgary carpet juniper. You can see that on the other side of the walkway as well. And just by having the 2 of them there, again, it makes it a little bit softer. It also helps our human head to be a little bit more relaxed. So one of the things that we want to do from a design perspective is try to relax the eye. So we want to make sure that things are important, they stand out. That's all your specimens. So for us, that's the spruce trees, that's the house, and that's some of the more unique plants that you see as you pass through the garden that we have ones of. So things like the Japanese maple and the weeping spruce. And then we have all the other plants around it, like the lamiums, like the grasses, like the junipers, that are really meant to support those features. The other thing that we really wanted to do in this garden is to bring a sense of proportion to the space. The house is really tall, the house is really long. The two spruce trees behind me are even taller. So when we got here, one of the first things that we wanted to do was bring our sense of scale down. And we're hoping that we've actually started to achieve that a little bit. So if we take a look at it again from a slightly different perspective, we've got our tall stuff with the spruces, and then we pan down to the grasses, that's our mid layer. And then we go down to some short perennials, the salvia, the blue guys that are just finished, and the snow and summers on the other side. On the ground plane. So that gives us our tall, medium, and small. The other thing it does is give us a sense of movement. And when we look at the pathway from where we're standing, so from right here, we can see the walkway go through to our right, and we can see a bit of that walkway up behind the bird feeder and the rock. Even though we can't see the entire pathway, our human brains are going to connect it. So we already know that we're in for a bit of a journey to the front door. And when you're thinking about your front yard, the front door, super important place, because that's where we want to make sure people get to. On our house, a little bit different. Nobody uses the front door, right? No different than your place. The front door at most houses are for the UPS guy, the pizza dude, for Amazon, and for anybody else who's delivering stuff. If somebody knows you, they're gonna come walk through the backyard and say, hey, how are ya? Here, they walk through our side door. So we wanted to get a sense, we need a sense of entry for the side door, but we also really wanted to play up our front entrance and really push that curb appeal and our sense of space. So I hope that helps a little bit. We'll talk to you later. I know there's going to be a couple more things come out on this, so we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.